Hello, and welcome to this presentation, which focuses on one of the questions posed in the public consultation. I will briefly present about the question of having just one Scope 1 plus 2 plus 3 target versus having separate targets by scope. Integrated oil and gas companies and integrated energy companies can set targets for different scopes, as well as targets for different parts of the value chain. This could lead to the setting of many targets, 9 or more, which seems unfeasible and unreasonable. At the same time, the setting of a science-based Scope 1 and 2 target for upstream activities as well as midstream activities is affected by a lack of available and detailed scenarios. So far, the work of the technical working group has not been able to address this issue appropriately, and it seems likely that in order to do it, a significant extra amount of technical work would have to be done. At the same time, the big challenge for integrated oil and gas companies is the energy transition. And this is well captured in the well-to-wheel method with its value chain Scope 1 plus 2 plus 3 indicator. However, in this method, Scope 1 and 2 emissions of oil and gas companies get dwarfed by Scope 3. The outcome of which could mean that the necessary reductions of Scope 1 and 2 are not made. Additionally, the well-to-wheel model seems fit for companies that want to transition to integrated energy companies, but does not seem appropriate for companies that want to continue being pure oil and gas companies. Arguments that were advanced for not having separate Scope 1 and 2 targets included the need for simplicity in target setting and assessment, the desire to have an integrated perspective indicator across the value chain and level the playing field. Scope 2 emissions represent less than 1%, and Scope 1 typically less than 10 to 15% of total value chain emissions. And fourth, the fact that what really matters for upstream oil and gas companies is their Scope 3 emissions. And the implication of a reduction in Scope 3 emission inevitably means that they will have to reduce their Scope 1 and 2 emissions from oil and gas production as a consequence of reducing their activity. On the other hand, addressing your own direct emissions is as fundamental as addressing the Scope 3 emissions of your products. So the question we pose to the public is a Scope 1 plus 2 plus 3 target sufficient to address Scope 1 plus 2 emissions from companies, or should an integrated oil and gas company have separate Scope 1 and 2 targets, even if they are methodologically complex to calculate? We also have similar recordings for the other consultation questions. Please check them out. Thank you for your attention and for your interest in this public consultation.